to say something. Lightweight, step at the side when we come in. Feel it in your chest, the syllables get pumping. People on the street get panic and start running. Words on loose leaf sheet, complete coming. I jump on my mind, I summon the rhyme I'm dumping. Healing the blind, I promise to let the sun in. Sick of the dark ways, we march to the drumming. Jump when they tell us that they want to see jumping. Dad, I want to see some fist pumping. Lift something, take back what's yours. Say something that you know they might attack you for. Cause I'm sick of being treated like I had before. Like a stupid standing for what I'm standing for. Like this war's really just a different brand of war. Like it doesn't...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Karen's Corner. Sorry I missed you last week. Was not feeling well at all, but it's the only one I've missed since March in almost a year. So I try my best to show up every week because I'm compelled. I'm obsessed. Just ask my husband. But there's so much out there that we remain unaware of. And it is my firm belief that once enough of us really understand the ramifications of what is truly happening, that aha moment will hit and we will have the Occupy spirit, not the convoluted, bought out version, but the spirit of Occupy where people came out of their homes and they went and they camped out and they did what they could, which unfortunately, aside from showing us that there is a real desire for change, was not as effective as it could have been. Which is why at United We Strike, we try to say, occupy your home, occupy your heart, occupy your mind. Protect your family and your children. Because governments will not do it. And tonight, I have a topic that is very, very horrific. And I discovered it when my husband and I watched a film called Oranges and Sunshine. I had never heard of this film before. I knew it was going to be a distasteful part of history, but I had no idea just how distasteful it was. And so tonight I am not having guests, although hopefully I will have some of my friends and some of you folks calling in, especially if you have been affected by this child migrant scheme that began in Britain and is as distasteful as this is. We need to know about it. My husband and I were shocked that we didn't know about it, and there's so much to say that I have a hard time knowing exactly where to start. But in order to really convey my feelings, I'd like to go back to some teachings by the Greek scholars who really understood the keys to human emotions, to human understanding, to human influence. Ethos, pathos, and logos. And while my pronunciations might not be all that correct, what the definitions basically are, ethos is, moral character, to be trustworthy, to conduct ourselves in a manner which builds trust, to be what we know and to do what we know is right and true. And pathos is suffering or feeling, it's to seek to understand, to truly be able to see through things and to look at our opposite side from the same point of understanding, to walk a mile in someone else's shoes, to fully get the picture and so that we can understand and to make our knowledge of our understanding felt to the person who is trying to be heard, to truly hear, to feel and to understand what's going on. And last but not least is logos, word, speech, reason, to be understood, to really be clear, so that after we do walk a mile in their shoes, we really get it. We understand and we use our minds and we use our hearts and we step into our highest integrity because we want the best possible solution for us all. And right now on our planet, I don't believe we have ever had more reason to step up and to use our ethos and our pathos and our logos in order to become the people we would like to become, as Gandhi so elegantly put, to become the change we'd like to see in the world. Because for things to change, we have to change. And for things to get better, we have to get better. And when we see things which we feel are morally wrong, when we learn about issues that are morally wrong, that are morally reprehensible, how will we be trustworthy if we learn about something as horrible as the facts I'm going to share with you tonight and we don't share them? What will happen? What really are the consequences of ignoring this information? How will ignoring this information make us better people? How will refusing to acknowledge the corruption of government, the child trafficking, the pedophilia, the wars, the profiteering, the corruption, how will that help us as a people? And what are we really supporting when we contribute to the Catholic Church? What are the true roles of governments, religions, and politicians? And who will protect the future of our children and our planet if we don't? So now I want to get to the Child Migration Trust. In this movie, Oranges and Sunshine, Margaret Humphreys was a social worker. Now, I have issues with social workers and CPS, and those will be featured on a later program. And actually, if any of you listening have been adversely affected or positively affected by this, if you were taken as children against your will, if you were ripped out of a home that you loved, if you were ripped out of a home that you hated, I do want to know about it, because until we can share our story, until we can find out just how pervasive this is, we'll continue to allow it to happen. And so if you have been touched by the child migration schemes, then I want to know. And I want to do what I can to give you a voice. Right now, I'm going to start off with some quotations. This is taken directly from childmigrantstrust.com, which was set up by Margaret Humphreys when she was approached by one of these child victims, and she actually had the courage to follow the evidence, to ask the tough questions, and to be so totally appalled that she was compelled to finish this for the highest good. Her ethos, her pathos, and her logos would not let her do anything other, which is why I'm here. I cannot do anything other than continue to speak out and do what I can to learn to step aside from my ego so that I can get facts out and we can understand what it is we're facing. So here, this is from His Grace the Archbishop of Perth, welcoming British child migrants shipped to Australia August in 1938. At a time when empty cradles are contributing woefully to the empty spaces, it is necessary to look for external sources of supply. And if we do not supply from our own stock, we are leaving ourselves all the more exposed to the menace of the teeming millions of our neighboring Asiatic races. White supremacy, white extremism. In 1944, here's another quote again from the acting Australian Prime Minister in December of 1944, when children should be home with their parents anticipating a happy and beautiful holiday. It is proposed that the Commonwealth seek out in Britain and Europe, in each of the first 3 post-war years, at least 17,000 children a year, suitable and available for migration to Australia. Another quote from 1950 from the Fairbridge Society Report on Child Migrants Sailing to Australia in 1950. Now, it appears to me that this is a quote directly about one of these poor children, these kidnapped children who they had the audacity to label migrants, these kidnapped, abducted, sexually exploited, farmed out, given to pedophile priests, the Catholic Church, folks. We had a Christian minister on the program last night. You can go back and listen to the program with Eric. There are a lot of Christians out there who are going to church, they're donating every Sunday, and they're ignoring the fact that the Catholic Church just moves pedophiles around on a chessboard. because they're not after our best interest. They're after your children. They're after their souls. They're after blood sacrifices. And I know how horrible that sounds. I am a recovering Catholic, and I am ashamed that I ever participated in that church, but I only did so until I was 18. And at that point in time, I told my father that if it was mandatory that I went to church when I went home, I would only do it physically, but I was not there mentally. It was to honor my father because I did not believe the tenets of the church. All right, I'm going to have to get to this quote after the first break. Please stay with me tonight because this is an important topic you need to know about. We'll be right back.
Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question for my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit them online at austincoins.com.
Remember this name, Carnivora. That's CARNIVORA.com. What if I told you that this 100% pure and natural product was delivered directly to the White House at President Reagan's personal request at a time when only the president was able to obtain it? Reagan used this amazing product, Carnivora, successfully, a product derived only from nature that has the intelligence to instinctively attack abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell, and the power to actually wake up critical immune cells from dormancy to attack foreign invaders that don't belong in our bodies. Carnivora is now obtainable by anyone who wants to get healthy and stay that way. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and protect yourself with 17 naturally occurring compounds that will unleash powerful immune defense. That's 1-866-VENUS-FLY. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and get your Carnivora today. Visit carnivora.com. It's a real pleasure to introduce you to permaculture, a new concept that can allow all of us to survive these times of crisis, economically and with food, water, and energy in a healthy and abundant fashion. How? By establishing the amazing permaculture food forests. With one simple, fun, fascinating step-by-step guide, you can become completely confident about survival with permaculture. Food forests and permaculture are productive, life-saving technologies for any climate in both urban and rural settings. Jeff Lawton is the world's foremost permaculture authority, teacher, designer, and consultant. Jeff has successfully worked in many countries, cultures, and different climates, helping people survive with permaculture. Come and enjoy an exclusive aerial guided video tour with Jeff of his water harvesting swales, dams, and food forests. Go to jefflawton.org to view this fascinating free video on how to survive and prosper with permaculture. That's GEOFFLAWTON.org.
All right, folks, we are back, and I am grateful for everyone in the chat room. It is alive and well. Hi, Foob, Wally, Virgo and Horsewife, Wally JP, Coast, Village, War, Virgo and Mike, everyone in there, 8 Hawks, thanks very much. Tonight, it's very difficult for me to be in the chat because I've got a lot of information here that I want to cover. And I'm going to go back now to this other quote. Again, this is from some child who apparently had other ideas than that of being used for sex slavery or child labor. So the quote is, "This party is the worst which we have ever received. From whichever aspect they are considered, there is nothing to recommend them. We have in the past featured that it is an advantage to Australia to have immigrants of good, sound British stock. If they are neither good nor sound, we must modify our statements and lose one of our most profitable items of propaganda. And lose one of our most profitable items of propaganda." This is directly from the Fairbridge Society Report on Child Migrants Sailing to Australia in 1950. All right, and this is now again from Child Migrants Trust. "Britain is the only country in the world with a sustained history of child migration. Only Britain has used child migration as a significant part of its child care strategy over a period of 4 centuries rather than as a policy of last resort during times of war or civil unrest. The reality of this policy was to remove children, some as young as 3 years old, from their homes, from their mothers and fathers, from all that was familiar to them, and to ship them thousands of miles away from their home country to institutions in different lands, distant lands, within the Commonwealth. Many of these children were moved without their parents' knowledge or consent. The origins of this scheme go back to 1618, when 100 children were sent from London to Richmond, Virginia, our country here. But then again, folks, our country is not new to slavery. Look at what we did to the African populations, to other indigenous populations. You know, if we need some labor, if some rich white men and their uppity wives need labor, well, come on, let's get brown people or people from other parts of the world. We don't care about them. They're just good for cooking and cleaning. Of course, they're not equal. All right, so they sent 100 children from London to Richmond, Virginia. The final party arrived in Australia, though, in 1970. So from 1618 till 1970, shipping children illegally, immorally, unethically, calling them migrants. How can a child of 3 be a migrant? You know, he's a kidnapped, abducted, poor child who has no one to protect him because of the compartmentalization, the self-vested interest, the illness, the sickness, the bribery. It is estimated that child migration programs were responsible for the removal of over 130,000 children from the United Kingdom to Canada, New Zealand, Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, and Australia. In the post-war era, approximately 3,300 children were shipped to Australia, while New Zealand, Rhodesia, and Canada received a combined total of about 1,000 children. Governments have not been able to provide precise statistics concerning the numbers of children received from the United Kingdom. Now, that's not really a surprise, is it, folks? They don't tell us the truth. If they're admitting to 130,000 of these children, how many children do you really think have been affected? And do you honestly believe it stopped in 1970? I don't. I believe the current minister of France, or at least he was, Frédéric Mitterrand. If he is not currently the minister of culture in France, he was, and he's a self-proclaimed pedophile. You know, we talk about pedophilia. We talk about the church and the priests taking advantage of these children. You know, Kevin Annett talks about getting people, these Native American people, these Native indigenous people, in court, trying to get some kind of recompense from these oppressive Catholic priests and having to sit behind them. Now, when I mention Kevin and Annette, I want to encourage all of you who are listening, if you are wanting to do something to help the plight of the Native Indigenous peoples, of some of the Indian populations, I would encourage you to go to the Native American sites first. And if you are going to support Kevin and Annette, do some research, because we need to be sure about who we are supporting. And I know people who claim that he has taken their stories without their consent, published them, and has exaggerated claims. And while I cannot speak for Kevin's heart, and I'm trying my best to be able to give people the benefit of the doubt and a venue to where they can answer questions he has not successfully answered any of mine yet, he is welcome to come on this program at any time and tell us what he did with the money, whether Jeremiah Jordan is his alter ego, if he actually has elders. There are so many problems when we get into the topic of the church and pedophilia and self-vested interest that we need to be very careful. But this is an issue that is happening. So in the context of what we're talking about tonight, well, I'll be right back, folks. It's going to go very quickly tonight, but stay tuned with me to make the connection between governments, orphanages, charities, the Catholic Church, pedophilia, your dollars, your children, and our future.
If you hang outside, don't come in. I'll only run and hide. Who can it be now?
Charlie McGrath of Wide Awake News here. You know, when it comes to freeze-dried, storable food, there's a lot of companies you can choose from. So please, allow me to introduce you to the best. Buy Emergency Foods Legacy Premium is hands down the best in the industry. They're the only company that is 100% certified GMO-free. They're the only company that has 0 MSGs. They have no artificial flavors, and they're the only company that puts an oxygen absorber into every nitrogen-flushed Mylar pouch. And coming in at about $3,900 for a year's supply, they're the best value in the industry at about half the going rate. Guys, Legacy Premium truly stands alone as the best freeze-dried storable food on the market, plain and simple. But don't take my word for it. Call them yourself at 888-543-7345. The number again, 888-543-7345. Or view their comparable charts today at buyemergencyfoods.com.
You're listening to Charlie nationwide and worldwide on the internet on the Rense Radio Network.
Most Americans are simply rolling over to the ruthless Orwellian surveillance state video cams that now watch nearly our every move. But now, thanks to the brand new Justice Caps, there is a way to reclaim at least some of your constitutional right to privacy. Whenever you wear your good-looking Justice Cap, you become essentially invisible to most surveillance cams. This new technology enables anybody to defeat Big Brother's cams and conceal your facial identity in plain sight. You can now decide who sees your face on camera and begin to live free again. Join us in the move to reclaim our Constitution and take a look at the remarkable, completely legal new technology at justicecaps.com. That's justicecaps.com.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
Well, hopefully it's not a Catholic priest knocking at your door. If it is, don't open it up or demand of these priests. On Sunday, folks, when all of you Catholics out there who are listening, who still go to church on Sunday, why don't you ask your priests about the pedophilia? You know, and think about what you're supporting when you give them money, because it's hard enough, as you'll find out, these children, who many of them now adults who have already passed on, you know, could hardly even get acknowledgement. And what sickens me is here on the 11th of last month, the Australian Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse, they still are forming committees. You know, these corrupt, treasonous politicians are forming committees to protect their own assets at the expense of our children. So, the child migration refers to children generally between the ages of 3 and 14, the majority being between 7 and 10. These children were sent away with the expectation that they would never return to start new lives in a foreign land. They never had their families, and there were harsh, understaffed institutions that they ended up with. If they were lucky, they didn't end up at Bindoon, which is a real horror story that I will go into a little bit more later on. But many of these child migrants, British boys and girls, were sent overseas by special agencies such as the Fairbridge Society, established specifically for the purpose of migrating young children to populate the empire with good white British stock. Again, remember, for whatever reason, this lie of inequality, this lie that the skin color, that a white skin color is in any way whatsoever superior to any other color, is wrong, folks. And your own inner morality, your ethos knows that. I don't have to tell you that, folks. Not if you truly are on this planet and striving to be a better human being yourself. You'll recognize that. You'll know that it's true. So these children, you know, well-known charities also, such as Barnardo's, which provided a wider range of child care services, along with the Church of England, the Methodist Church, the Salvation Army, and the Catholic Church played major roles. If you go to the homepage there at childmigrantstrust.com, you'll see pictures of these children on the ship, you know, without their parents, but young, lied to. Oh, you might as well go to Australia because your mother's dead. Some of these children taken from young women who were pregnant, and back in the 50s and the 60s and the 40s, you know, the 30s, boy, an unwed mother, that was something. That was a reason to throw them into horrible places, horrible orphanages, horrible places, a lot of them with Catholic backing, to be treated like dirt because they were pregnant and have their babies stolen from them. And when you also understand child sacrifice, unfortunately, is true. Again, I know that's a horrible statement. But my research leads me to believe that it is definitely true. When you look at what our young children are like today, when you understand also that families, that consciousness, think about the ramifications of what this has done. Instead of us being born into families where we can thrive, We have government institutions who come in and steal our children. Imagine the ripple effect. When you throw a pebble into a still pond, imagine that ripple effect. Well, imagine for every child who was stolen, all the other people as well as that child, the worst victim, that child. And then you have for every child, you have a mother, a father. You have grandparents, aunts, uncles, siblings. Imagine now the pool of water being the consciousness, the heart-centeredness that we have, the ability as human beings, that the real focus of our hearts, the pure intention. Imagine that clear pool. And now imagine all of these pebbles thrown in, rippling out, affecting all the other pebbles of the hundreds of thousands of children who have been abducted and abused with government sanction. Because when governments go in to take over areas like right now, Mali, how many people are dying there? How many black and brown children are dying because of the brainwashing and because the United States government is the largest drug and gun running organization on the planet with prostitution, pornography, pedophilia right up there. Right up there in the third position. Folks, what are we doing? How can we listen and learn about things like this without doing something? Which is, again, how about all of us stopping on the 15th together and saying, what? What are you telling me actually happened? No, I need to do some research myself. Well, if we all did that on the 15th, we would take our energy away from these governments. We would not be allowing them to use our money, our labor, our time, or our minds or our hearts for their lies. Sorry, folks. I know it gets me. It really is upsetting. So I'm trying not to sound like I'm just totally off my rocker because this information is enough to drive you crazy. All right. Again, we've got the Church of England, the Methodist Church, the Salvation Army, and the Catholic Church playing major roles. In New Zealand, children were often placed with foster parents, while those in Canada were entrusted to the care of farmers, often without sufficient preparation or supervision. Some Canadian farmers were even charged with manslaughter. Such was the extent of their cruelty. Manslaughter. Can you imagine being 6 years old? Maybe your mother just was shopping and you stepped outside the store for a second and it was just a little family neighborhood. She wasn't worried about it, but there you have some person who comes up because they're part of this scam and say, hey, you want to go to Australia? You want a sucker? You want sunshine every day? You want to ride a horse to school? Or the ones who were approached who were already in orphanages and told that their parents had died. Imagine being lied to. Imagine being 4 or 5 years old, having your little suitcase, having a nice little outfit on, all these other children being excited about going on a trip, on a ship, And what were the ship's captains thinking? What were the ship's porters thinking? What were the people who drove the buses thinking as they unloaded these children? Child migration was inspired by a variety of motives, none of which gave first priority to the needs of the children involved, nor that of their families. Child migrants were viewed as a convenient source of cheap labor on Canadian farms and as a means of boosting Australia's post-war population, and as a way to preserve a white managerial elite in the former Rhodesia. That's right, we can't have black people in charge of their own country, especially a country with resources like that. It's why we're still over there. We want those resources. We don't care about those people. We don't care about their children. Because if we did, this would not happen. If we did, and this is to me one of the best reasons to strike, or the worst reasons to strike, we'd wake up on the 15th and say, I'm not going to work. I've got my food, my water, my children are home safe, and I've got ways to protect them. And I'm staying here in my home. because this corruption is so far beyond what's acceptable. If only 25%, if only 5%, ladies and gentlemen, of what I believe to be true actually is, it's still so far beyond being acceptable that is amazing to me that we still go to work every day and we compartmentalize ourselves. Back with more on the corruption between the Church of England, the Methodist Church, the Salvation Army, the Catholic Church, pedophilia, kidnapped, stolen, abused children. Call in if you are one of these children. If you have been touched by this story, 877-342-6673. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey guys, Charlie McGrath here at WideAwakeNews.com, and I'm here to tell you I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my Homestead Seed Bank, my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make SeedsNow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669. Or better yet, visit them today at SeedsNow.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com, spelled BIOAGE.com, BioAge.com, or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Are you or someone that you love struggling to reclaim your health? My name is Matthew David Hurtado, CEO of RNAdrops.com. In 2008, I struggled with chronic fatigue syndrome, PTSD, and Lyme's. I thought that all hope was gone as I lost everything in the process. In 2009, a miracle happened. I discovered Ion and RNA drops. 2 months after taking RNA drops, the chronic fatigue and the PTSD had vanished into thin air. I'd like to invite you to discover RNA drops by visiting www.rnafreemini.com today. That's rnafreemini.com today. Listen to hours of testimonials and get a free trial bottle. Pay only shipping and handling by visiting www.rnafreemini.com.
Or give us a call at 1-888-550-8231. That's 888-550-8231. Hurry, supplies are limited.
Make a promise, take a vow, trust your feelings, it's easy now. Understand the voice within and feel a change already begin.
All right. Well, I am looking at the time go by. It is going very quickly tonight. And again, I'm asking if any listeners out there were affected by this child migrant scheme. If you have relatives who were missing, if you knew about this, you know, how I had no idea that this even took place. I understand that when the United States goes over, you know, the big bully, the United States is the military arm of the New World Order, folks. There are 3 of them. The spiritual side of the New World Order, unfortunately, is the Vatican. You know, Vatican City, it has its own rules, regulations, armies. It does not pay taxes. The financial head of the New World Order is the City of London. It also does not pay taxes. It has its own army. It's not subject to any other outside rule. And the third arm of the New World Order is the military arm, which is the District of Columbia right here in the United States. We've got to start connecting these dots, because it's part of a much bigger crime. And when I look at how the biggest challenge we have is unity, I try to understand what is it that keeps us divided. Because in the course of now going into my 5th year of really our organization, and it's not because I'm asking people to believe everything I say. I'm not. Do your own homework. I believe what I say, but also my beliefs change as more information is uncovered. I am not afraid of the truth. Instead, I am afraid of not enough of us seeking the truth and then doing something about it. When you do know that this is true, I mean, to me, it is a shocker. This is worth staying home for, isn't it? To know that governments are shipping your children overseas without your knowledge or consent, exploiting them, refusing to even acknowledge that it happened. Now, I did send an invitation to Margaret Humphreys from Child Migrants Trust. I had a formal response. Whether or not they have been infiltrated now, since obviously they have to deal with the British government. You see pictures of Tony Blair up there. I don't know. What I do know is that this is real. And if you put yourself in their position, if you use the pathos, if you use your heart-centered thinking, how would you feel if your child were ripped out of your arms by a social worker, your baby, your 3-year-old baby, taken to an orphanage, and you went to that orphanage later to do what you could to get your child back, and you were told that your child had either died or had been adopted by another family, and in reality, your child had been put on one of these boats and shipped over to a life of hell. So these children were told tales of travel to the land of milk and honey, where children ride to school on horseback and pick up the fruit on the side of the road, pick oranges off the tree, and these child migrants were sent abroad without passports, social histories, or even the most basic documents, such as full birth certificates. And they changed their names. So once they got over there too, once these ships docked, they would divide the brothers and the sisters, the boys and the girls. They would tear up the family. And that is part of what's happening. That's why we have such a tough time getting together, because our families are no longer as united as they were. We have been lied to our entire lives, as our parents, our grandparents, and our great-grandparents. All of us lied to by whatever this low form of so-called intelligence is behind everything. Who knew that when you break up the family, when you destroy villages that are self-sufficient, when you create laws that prevent people from gardening, when you prevent laws that prevent people from being self-sufficient, when you force your edicts on them by guns and drones and bombs, what we're doing every day, folks, imagine being in the middle of Syria, or a drone strike, or a wedding. Our fracking government has had the audacity to send these drones into a wedding party when they wanted one person. The most joyous day of a young couple's lives, totally destroyed by a drone strike that blows them up, blows their families up, and by maybe some kid here in the United States, maybe in San Diego, at the naval base, who's just pressing buttons and playing video games. And we ignore that. We ignore that. Every day we get up and we go to work, we ignore that. We ignore the fact that war is coming here, folks. They're taking our guns. They're lying to us. They're murdering our children. You got the Sandy Hook massacre. We cannot trust the government. Because the tragic reality for many of these children migrants ended up being appalling standards of care. Pedophilia. Children as young as 7 were sent to institutions in Western Australia and involved in construction works without adequate food or basic safety measures. Many were injured in building accidents at an age when they should have been in school playing. Throughout its long history, child migration has been punctuated by a series of scandals. There should be no such thing as child migration. What an insult. These are abducted children. These are not migrants. These are stolen, abducted children who have the worst horror story to tell that we're not listening to. So one of these places where these children were sent, this Catholic-sponsored horror, which still exists today, was this town. I'm going to put this link in the chat room as well. This is about Bindoon. This featured prominently in this movie. And it's a very, very sad story. Bindoon Boys Town sounded like an adventure camp to the pale-faced youngsters who emerged blinking into the sunlight at Fremantle in Western Australia after their 6-month voyage from Southampton. Among them was Laurie Humphreys, looking forward to his new life in the land of milk and honey, where food was plentiful and children rode to school on horses, so he had been told. It was September 1947, and the SS Asturias had just docked in Fremantle with 147 boys and girls, the first to arrive under a post-war plan to empty overflowing British orphanages and repopulate the former colonies with good white stock. Humphreys and other boys were dispatched to Bindoon, an isolated institution 60 miles north of Perth, run by the Christian Brothers, a Catholic lay order. The first shock was the desolate landscape. The second was the place itself, an abandoned farm property. It was the boys who were to build Bindoon, and children as young as 10 were sent to work constructing schools, dormitories, and kitchens. They hacked at the ground with picks and shovels and mixed concrete by hand in the blazing heat. Those unable to cope with the back-breaking labor were flogged, sometimes until their bones were fractured, and I'm sure if they were flogged that badly, there were many who did not survive the floggings. But the routine thrashings meted out for offenses as trivial as bedwetting, and come on, if you're stolen out of your home and you're young, an issue like bedwetting is not going to be uncommon. Or stealing fruit. Trying to steal food to supplement a miserable diet consisting mainly of bread and dripping. That wasn't the worst of it. Sexual abuse was rife at Bindoon, and the boys dubbed their religious guardians the Christian Buggers. This grim regime was presided over by Brother Francis Keeney, 6 feet tall and 17 stone. 17 stone is a weight in England. I am not sure what it translates to, but it's the weight. I guess you would call him a sadist, says Humphreys, one of an estimated 10,000 British children sent to Australia between 1947 and 67. Now again, these are only estimates because the government will not tell us how many children actually were affected. While Bindoon was especially brutal, conditions there were replicated in numerous other institutions, and for decades, the lost children of the empire, as they are sometimes known, have been lobbying for official recognition. Last week, they finally achieved one of their goals when the Australian government announced that it would offer them a formal apology, similar to the one delivered to the stolen generations of Aboriginal children last year. So here again is another clue, the Aboriginal children last year. And I need, I guess, to open a window here so I can tell you that when the apology came, it was, it barely comes. It certainly wasn't in a timely manner, and it was not anything near what should have happened for these poor children. Back to, okay, so the article, let me see if this is coming up here. Yeah, Australia is set to apologize. This was printed on September 2009. So, okay, what the government is admitting is from about the 1940s, maybe 1930s. So it takes all the way to 2009 for the Australian government to even consider apologizing to these children who they just abused and used and raped, and it's when I also, that last sentence, the stolen generations of Aboriginal children last year. Now, whose children are more important? In December, I asked the question of JP and of you folks, whose life is more important? And JP, I remember the last program of last year said, we've got to start uncovering and exposing the pedophilia. And it's such a heart-wrenching topic. It physically takes a lot out of me to be able to do some research on this because I'm so appalled. Every fiber of my being is so horrified that we allow this. It's shocking. These children were robbed of their countries, their roots, their identity. They were told they were orphans. Their innocence was stolen. Okay, Mick Snell has bleak memories of Dalmar House in Sydney, managed by the Methodist Wesley Mission. He'd been given up as a baby because he was illegitimate. All right, folks, hour 2 to start. I know that this is not a very fun topic, but until we can face this, we're not going to be able to deal with it. We're going to start the next segment off with a song that's at least going to make me feel a little bit better and give me a laugh. Then we're going to talk about United We Strike and finish up on this topic, and I will be taking your calls tonight. Again, 877-342-6673. We will be right back.
Pride inside, nothing let that show. My brother had a book he would hold with pride, a little red cover with a broken spine on the back. He hand wrote a quote inside: when the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. Meanwhile, the leader just talks away, stuttering and mumbling for nightly news to be played. The rest of the world watching at the end of the day, both scared and angry, like what did he say?
Will 2012 bring the Mayan end of world or the global banking collapse? In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. This week, Mike unleashes 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
Are you prepared for the future? Do you know how to navigate past the upcoming dangers before it's too late and seize budding opportunities before others do? Forecasting worldwide since 1980, Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal, provides timely and accurate trend forecasts that have earned him the reputation as the most trusted name in trends. The proof is in the hundreds of accurate forecasts Celente has made over the past 30 years. The 1987 stock market crash, the clean food trend, the dot-com bust. The Trends Journal alerts subscribers to early, subtle signs of crucial trends that will shape our future. It allows readers to anticipate change, recognize the implications, and take proactive strategies. Put your money where your mind is with Gerald Celente's brilliant and indispensable Trends Journal. Go to trendsjournal.com or call 845-331-3500. That's 845-331-3500.
You're listening to the Rents Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at rents.com.
IRN U.
Sit back, little children, as I tell the tale of how democracy and freedom bit the dust.
to know exactly who to trust. It was 1913 on a Christmas day. Congress gave away its right to create cash. Now your money's only worth just what the bankers say, and you can lose your only shirt in just a flash. You see, the Federal Reserve is not a government thing. It's a bunch of private bankers we obey. And they don't answer to the people 'cause they pull the strings. And that's precisely why we have to say, hey, 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 the Fed. Now, not too long ago, there was a president who tried. He was about to stick it to the lousy Fed. He made some legal tender, silver-backed in all its splendor. It's unfortunate he ended up dead. Clinton, Bush, Barack Obama, Carter, Reagan, and McCain. We argue who's the best until we drop. But whoever is elected, it all comes out the same till we see that it's the Fed we need to stop. Hey, 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 the Fed. Hey, 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 the Fed. We need a president with balls, no matter white or black or female. Someone more than just another talking head. They have to stand up for our rights. They better read the Constitution when they hear the people cry for the Fed. So tell your children's children, if we're still around, to tell how depressions were created by a few. How the people lived and suffered while the candidates debated till the people knew exactly what to do. Yeah. Hey, 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 the Fed. Hey, 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 the Fed.
Hey, frack the Fed. All right, I had to start that next segment with something that was a little more light-hearted, although I do want to finish up on this topic of Bindoon. And again, if you or any member of your family has direct experience with this, if you were sent to Australia, if any of your relatives were sent to Australia, I would like to hear from you. And also, you know, if you have experience with the CPS, because if we listen to if we listen to all the accounts of pedophilia, then it's absolutely horrendous. So I'd like to know, because I think that when we really have our morality, when we really understand that children are a sacred gift from God, you know, they are to be honored and cherished and protected. And they are the future. What do we have without our children? You know, they are our most valuable assets. So we cannot continue to ignore this. And my question, again, and I'd like actually to hear some comments about this. You know, now that, how can we ignore this? How can we go to sleep tonight and ignore this topic? You know, and who do we become when we ignore things like this, when we refuse to pay attention to the children who are dying now on our dime. You know, we are the ones who are paying for these atrocities. We are the ones who are funding it. We're the ones who believe our governments are somehow protecting us. And yet, is that really the case? Or is it more that governments are there scooping up power, forcing their edicts on us? Because, you know, we like to talk and say that we're free. We're not. We're not free. We've never been free, nor have our parents or any members of our family, really. I mean, if we're lucky, possibly somewhere, you know, thousands of years ago, there might have been a few of our relatives who had freedom, who actually came together in little communities. But even then, you know, you got some guy who thinks, hey, I'm the coolest here, and, you know, I'm going to have the other guys beat you up, and I'm going to be the voodoo man, or I've got the secret knowledge from the mystery schools. I've got the documents that actually tell us who and what we are capable of. I know how to manipulate my environment, so I'm going to keep that power, and what I'm going to do is make sure that everyone who I'm involved with, and it's going to be a select few, that they have all the power. And in order to do that, I need hitmen. I need to be a bully. I need to send my soldiers out to collect taxes and to rape and to murder and to kill parents, because I don't want them thinking. I just want them to go out there and, you know, do their dirty work. So, you know, why should we care? This is a set of lyrics that came through me back in 2004. I was kind of looking around at some of the things that had written me. It's called Why Should We Care? Another day the sun shines down on you and me, while all around we take our masks and put them on to wear until the day is done. Not thinking, just reacting to the problems we're attracting. Trying not to look too deep. Most of us face this world asleep. Why should we know? Why should we care about all the problems over there? Our stomach's full, our house is neat. We're not sleeping in the street. Why should we care for those who do? Our lives are here, our clothes are new. We pay our rent, we do our jobs. Why should we care about those slobs? Why should we care when we're not there? We work until the sun goes down. We drive back home while all around the nightly news blares on TV, filled with more atrocity. Babies dying, mothers crying. We're denying so much killing. We're so willing. Blood is spilling. But, you know, why should we know? Why should we care about all the problems over there? Our stomach's full, our house is neat. We're not sleeping in the street. Why should we care for those who do? Our lives are here, our clothes are new. We pay our rent, we do our jobs. Why should we care about those slobs? Why should we care when we're not there? And so I ask you, listeners, why should we care? Why should we care about these children? What should we do? Especially when we know we're only one person, what should we do? How can we make a difference? Well, I say that we can make a difference. We can make a difference by opening our hearts, opening our minds, finding out this information, sharing what we know, and coming together in peaceful non-compliance every 15th. We have never, ever really tried the kind of a strike that I'm talking about, that we're talking about at United We Strike. We don't have enough of us yet who are so sick of the corruption, who are so fed up with the hypocrisy, who are so sick and tired of lying, thieving, stealing politicians, the, 535 of them here in the United States, who are already, hey, let's use drones because we know that the American people are going to be pissed off. And when they go out into the streets, hey, you know, we really need to take care of a great many of them at the same time. We need to spy on them, and we need to send our drones in uniforms out. People wearing uniforms, please. Veterans. You know, you're abused about as much as these poor children. You are stripped away from your home, from your life, and sent through the trauma, the mind-based control, the trauma-based mind control of boot camp, where you're stripped of your individuality. You're turned into a number. and it's pounded into you that you need to obey. Don't think for yourself. Don't take anything that you've learned your whole life. Don't disregard that and follow this immoral order. Pick up the gun, go over there and shoot that person because we think that maybe they're out to get us. That might be a terrorist. Send a SWAT team because, they owe college tuition. Let's forget about HSBC. It's Krapman. All right, I'm still ready for calls, 877-342-6673, or you're stuck with me. Be right back after these messages.
Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question for my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit them online at austincoins.com.
Remember this name, Carnivora. That's CARNIVORA.com. What if I told you that this 100% pure and natural product was delivered directly to the White House at President Reagan's personal request at a time when only the president was able to obtain it? Reagan used this amazing product, Carnivora, successfully, a product derived only from nature that has the intelligence to instinctively attack abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell, and the power to actually wake up critical immune cells from dormancy to attack foreign invaders that don't belong in our bodies. Carnivora is now obtainable by anyone who wants to get healthy and stay that way. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and protect yourself with 17 naturally occurring compounds that will unleash powerful immune defense. That's 1-866-VENUS-FLY. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and get your Carnivora today. Visit carnivora.com.
Have you ever wanted to generate your own supply of electrical power, even save money on your electric bill? If so, this is going to be the most important message you will ever hear. Solar power generators are now available. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. Unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces electricity from the sun. It's like having an electric power plant running quietly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, and even keep your food from spoiling. Whether it's hurricanes, ice storms, brownouts, or blackouts, you'll never suffer through painful power outages again. And here's the best news, a remarkable fall truckload sale going on right now that gets you $1,700 in bonuses when you buy a solar generator. To find out why solar generators are the best generators and get $1,700 for doing so, go to falltruckloadsale.com. That's falltruckloadsale.com. Generate your own supply of electricity. Go to falltruckloadsale.com. That's falltruckloadsale.com.
It's a real pleasure to introduce you to permaculture, a new concept that can allow all of us to survive these times of crisis, economically and with food, water, and energy in a healthy and abundant fashion. How? By establishing the amazing permaculture food forests. With one simple, fun, fascinating step-by-step guide, you can become completely confident about survival with permaculture. Food forests and permaculture are productive, life-saving technologies for any climate in both urban and rural settings. Jeff Lawton is the world's foremost permaculture authority, teacher, designer, and consultant. Jeff has successfully worked in many countries, cultures, and different climates, helping people survive with permaculture. Come and enjoy an exclusive aerial guided video tour with Jeff of his water harvesting swales, dams, and food forests. Go to jefflawton.org to view this fascinating free video on how to survive and prosper with permaculture. That's GEOFFLAWTON.org.
All right, welcome back. Well, we do have a caller on the line, and actually, we might have some music. Stephen, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, now, we'll be happy to hear you, although I have to tell you, if depending on how the sound's coming through, you're set up, you got your guitar, you got a mic there?
No, just the phone. Is it feeding back or anything? I know it might be kind of bad. It's 45 seconds. Let's just do it, and we'll get it over with.
All right, go for it.
You never been bad. I look at us all, see the love there that's sleeping well, while my guitar gently weeps. Then I look at the floor, and I see me sweeping well, while my guitar gently weeps. Oh. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you very much, Costa. You know, I could use a little laughter tonight. But now let me ask you, what are your thoughts on what do we do about this topic? What can we do to make a difference? Oh, he must have just hung up. I think that's what Brett's saying. He's gone. All right, and folks, then I ask you, what do we do with this knowledge? And so here's my suggestion. What we do is we understand that individually we have absolutely no hope of fighting the system, or extremely slim odds in terms of fighting the system. Therefore, when you realize that we outnumber them, greatly outnumber them, you know, hundreds of thousands to one. Maybe there's only, you know, if there are 534 miscreants right now that we have to deal with who are calling themselves politicians, which I like David Frank saying, you know, poly means many and ticks are blood-sucking animals. So we've got a lot of these bloodsuckers who are just willing to take their pensions to make sure that they have armed guards around them all the time. But forget arming yourself so you can protect your children. But boy, they've got their armed guards. And then their counterparts in different parts of the world. You know, you got the Bilder Buggers, and you got the Trilateral Commission, and you have the Club of Rome, and you have the Jesuits, which are also the military arm of the Vatican. So we have these different organizations around the world comprised of people, and many of these people at the very, very top are the truly evil ones. The rest of them, they're pretty messed up as well, but some of the people helping are actually so compartmentalized and so brainwashed that they ignore the voice within. So tonight, I want to encourage us all to find that voice within. And I also, tonight, before you go to sleep, look at your children if you have them. Look at your husband if you have one. Look at your partner. You know, look at the people you love if they are around you. If they're not around you, before you go to sleep, when you are brushing your teeth and washing your face, take the time to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, if this was my child, if this had happened to my child, what will I be willing to do? What would I do to protect my child? How far would I go? What lengths would I go to protect my child? And if I'll go to those lengths to protect my child, am I going to ignore my neighbor's child? So what if, folks? What if on the 15th, all across this world, maybe hundreds of thousands, millions have been affected by this. Well, where are those people? Where is that outrage? Why can't we stand back and say on the 15th, This is the reason I'm not going to work. I'm not sending my children to the revisionist indoctrination centers. I'm not giving you any of my money. I've got my children. I've got my firearms. I've got my food. I've got my water. I've got my neighborhood. That is important. What would happen also if we floated the idea of military personnel right now committing suicide at a higher rate than being killed in combat? What would happen if, say, some 15th, all military personnel in the United States, instead of showing up to work whatever way they could, they got back to a county sheriff who proclaimed to be a constitutional county sheriff and asked for asylum? What could happen if they said, I want to help rebuild my hometown. I'm here in my home county. I'm stepping out of my uniform and into my life because I understand the importance of refusing an immoral order. Right back after these messages, 877-342-6673.
If you hang outside, don't come in. I'll only run and hide. Who can it be now?
Charlie McGrath of Wide Awake News here. You know, when it comes to freeze-dried, storable food, there's a lot of companies you can choose from. So please, allow me to introduce you to the best. Buy Emergency Foods Legacy Premium is hands down the best in the industry. They're the only company that is 100% certified GMO-free. They're the only company that has 0 MSGs. They have no artificial flavors, and they're the only company that puts an oxygen absorber into every nitrogen-flushed Mylar pouch. And coming in at about $3,900 for a year's supply, they're the best value in the industry at about half the going rate. Guys, Legacy Premium truly stands alone as the best freeze-dried storable food on the market, plain and simple. But don't take my word for it. Call them yourself at 888-543-7345. The number again, 888-543-7345. Or view their comparable charts today at buyemergencyfoods.com.
You're listening to Charlie nationwide and worldwide on the internet on the Rents Radio Network.
Most Americans are simply rolling over to the ruthless Orwellian surveillance state video cams that now watch nearly our every move. But now, thanks to the brand new Justice Caps, there is a way to reclaim at least some of your constitutional right to privacy. Whenever you wear your good-looking Justice Cap, you become essentially invisible to most surveillance cams. This new technology enables anybody to defeat Big Brother's cams and conceal your facial identity in plain sight. You can now decide who sees your face on camera and begin to live free again. Join us in the move to reclaim our Constitution and take a look at the remarkable, completely legal new technology at justicecaps.com. That's justicecaps.com.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
All right. Well, knocking at our door is Stephen to call back and answer that question. So, yes, what are your thoughts about that? What are you going to do?
Hi, Karen. Hey, next time I do it, that quality was awful. Sorry about that. But anyways,
I enjoyed it. It broke up a little bit, but if you get a microphone on there and practice a bit,
I know how to do it all. I know how to do it all. It's just an off-the-wall thing, and that's part of my comment. Sometimes you just got to go do stuff. Even if it's embarrassing or whatever, just get out your feelings. I'm a good person. I got love in my heart. Just get it out. But the biggest thing is, and not everybody has to do what I do. I'm just letting you know what I do. I put God first, and then I learn as much as I can so I can teach my family and my wife, my kids, my brothers and sisters, let them know. I try to do it in a calm manner and to do it in a professional manner and to know, how much can they wake up how much at a time. And then I do like the stuff that you said. We've got to get more self-sufficient so we're not relying on the system. And that's another thing that I do. And then I do just kind of like you do too, man. Get out there and just, when you learn something, try to share it with other people, especially for those ones that are on the fence. There's a lot of people you're never going to get through to, and you just move on. But there's a lot of people on the fence, so I think a lot of people who talk to you. And not only what you do is when you talk, you are like that Bible thing where it says, be around like-minded people. You give us more energy to keep going. And so that's another really neat thing. And those are the things you can do. I remember when that Libya thing happened, I don't know why it wasn't in Iraq and everything else. When they went after Libya, it broke my heart of realizing how many people were going to be killed. And you just keep sharing, keep loving your heart, stay out of the system as much as possible. Do not feed the banks. I think you actually all have it all handled. I think you pretty much explained it.
Well, thank you. I try. And I hope that you join us on the 15th and spread the word, because we do outnumber them. And when we finally, enough of us, when we get that aha moment and we stay home in the hundreds of thousands and we refuse to show up, and hopefully too, soldiers, there is hope. Come on, think about it. Think about the possibility of constitutional sheriffs. Think about the possibility of freeing ourselves from this legal economic conquest. Stephen, thank you very much for your thoughts and for calling in.
Thank you. Thanks for putting up with me.
Pardon? Thank you very much for calling in. All right, we got Ron. Ron, if you're there, welcome to the program.
Hey, how's it going?
Ron?
Yeah, my name is Baran. I was calling because I thought you were spot on, about talking about connecting with other people, and you have to let people know that they're not alone in that, and that they that other people know, and especially people that already are familiar with the New World Order. What really prompted me to call in. I actually run a website with a show here on Oracle myself, and I thought that it was. I thought that basically we all need to work together, hosts, site owners, journalists, everybody, just to network more and more to get that message out. Specifically what I think that can be though is talking about food, and that because you can't overwhelm people with all of the things that are going on with the New World Order, because sometimes they do shut down. And to I guess be short, I think that the most common issues that people can really get behind, that can appreciate that there's disinformation about, are the ones that are probably best to start sharing with people, to see if to see how far and how fast you can push them with information, so that they'll reach other people in their circle. And I thought that was kind of basically what you were talking about.
Thank you, and I hope you'll tune in tomorrow to the United We Strike Marathon. The website's updated. It's unitedwestrike.com. We've been trying this for years. I know that our goal, my goal, is to be an umbrella group, not to have people think that they've got to mimic me, or that I am in any way, shape, or form a leader. All I am is just someone who is so passionate and so outraged about what I know is going on that I honestly do not see any reason why we should continue in any way, shape, or form to support the current policies. And if we stayed home in millions, can you imagine, Braun, empty streets, empty banks, no profit, empty airports? Let the frackin' TSA feel themselves up,
Right.
Let the let these miscreant politicians empty their own trash and drive themselves to work instead of the limos. What would happen if we stayed home in the millions for 1, 2, or 3 days and said, I refuse to work as long as Obama's in power. I refuse to work as long as war goes on. I refuse to work until all servicemen and women, all military, are sent home to their homes, their counties, to help their local, not corrupt authorities, their local authorities, not authorities, I guess the local people who agree to stand together and work for peace and truth and justice. If we said we wouldn't work until there was an immediate ceasefire and we really stuck to it, we wouldn't have to deal with this war. Or at least that's what I think. What do you think?
I totally agree. It's just a matter of getting the right people and hopefully enough of them mobilized on that particular day. I don't know how long this has been promoted for, but this is the first I heard of it. Is there a banner, or something like that that's already created I can put on my site?
Yeah, we can definitely exchange banners, and we've been pounding the paper. I've been pounding the airwaves for now, going on 5 years. And those of us who are involved in United We Strike, I am the most vociferous. This is something that came to my heart. This is, it seems like I've been compelled to at least say, in spite of all of our differences, we've got to stand together, and we can use the 15th as a Patriots Day. So anything you can do to help us with whatever issues people are against, let's take action at the same time and magnify our voices.
I totally agree. As far as striking, that's absolutely where it needs to be, is to hit the heart of the problem, which is the money in this system. I think you're totally right about that. So the strike is actually on the 15th. Yeah, I'm gonna put something up for that, so that so that more people will know about that. I guess the last thing I wanted to say was, one thing I do see is I'm very encouraged by a lot of the discussion that I see. For example, I monitor a lot of different terms on Twitter, and specifically with Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about it, at least, and are. It's a double-edged sword. I see a lot of people are talking about it with people that they are either friends with or family with, and in some cases it's feeding division, but it's also feeding that extra debate and discussion. And I think that's part of what people are capitalizing on in the disinfo sector of the media, is that they're using it to feed the people that are strong enough to start to see some of the questions that they need to be asking in there. They're being pitted basically against their friends and family by the disinformation media. So the people that aren't able to quite see so clearly, or just don't care, are basically vilifying them in the same way, and it's designed to drive a wedge in between the truth movement and everything else. And I think that's one thing that we have to support is use hashtags on Twitter. Use try to really use social media, because that's the place where people are these days. That's where the eyeballs are, is on mobile screens and on social media.
That's it. And also that's why, United We Strike, we'd just like to be an umbrella movement where individuals can come together. It's really tough trying to attract groups because they don't want to be political. Oh, I'm sorry. And if you have this person on your show, I can't be involved. And if you have this person on your show, I can't be involved. And my point is, look, we've all been lied to. It's time we got over our differences and also allowed for other people to change their minds and to change their heart with more information, and to ask them tough questions, which we will do tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m. Pacific for 2 hours in German. Then we're all about English from different parts of the world. I hear the break music in the background. It's UnitedWeStrike.com. Thank you, Bron, very, very much for calling in. I appreciate it. You can get in touch with me through the website. Folks, we'll be right back after this.
Hey guys, Charlie McGrath here at WideAwakeNews.com, and I'm here to tell you I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my homestead seed bank, my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make seedsnow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669. Or better yet, visit them today at seedsnow.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com, spelled BIOAGE.com, BioAge.com, or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Are you or someone that you love struggling to reclaim your health? My name is Matthew David Hurtado, CEO of RNADrops.com. In 2008, I struggled with chronic fatigue syndrome, PTSD, and Lyme's. I thought that all hope was gone as I lost everything in the process. In 2009, a miracle happened. I discovered Ion and RNA Drops. 2 months after taking RNA Drops, the chronic fatigue and the PTSD had vanished into thin air. I'd like to invite you to discover RNA Drops by visiting www.rnafreemini.com today. That's rnafreemini.com today. Listen to hours of testimonials and get a free trial bottle. Pay only shipping and handling by visiting www.rnafreemini.com.
Or give us a call at 1-888-550-8231. That's 888-550-8231. Hurry, supplies are limited.
Baptize me in the water, can't you see I'm still your daughter, standing with my vision once again. When we don't talk and we don't listen, we don't know what we are missing, and the anger in between has got to end. I've come for peace, I've come for peace, let your anger release. I've come for peace. Let's stop spitting out this fodder, we both crave that holy water. I come here in love, not to pretend. I'm willing now to listen, wanna know what I've been missing, and the anger in between has got to end. We've common ground, let's find it with the love that lies behind it. Lay down the angry words we can't defend. In the fires of redemption, there can be no self-pretension, and the anger in between has got to end. I've come for peace, I've come for peace, let your anger release. I've come for peace. It's time to act, this war is pressing, we all need that holy blessing. Good ideas and solutions we must blend. It's time to stop the burning, find the peace we are so yearning, and the anger in between has got to end. Let's stand for peace. Let's stand for peace. Let our anger release. Let's stand for peace. Join me in peace. Let's make peace. Let our anger release. Join me in peace. Let our anger release. Let's stand for peace.
Let's stand for peace. Somewhere in his dreams it is quiet and sweet, green grass in the valley and plenty to eat. The fields are alive, the crops they grow tall, birds sing in the trees, there's enough for them all. Somewhere in his dreams there are flowers and streams where fishing is easy and everyone seems to be happy and healthy and living in peace. Somewhere in his dreams blue skies do not cease. Living and loving and caring and laughter are all that this precious young boy is after. Somewhere in his dreams he gets lost in the charms of his beautiful mother and her warm, soft arms, holding him close, holding him near, bringing him comfort, erasing his fear. But then he's awakened by the cold grip of war. The bombs are much closer, the bullets they soar, his family around him now dead for a week. He's bloody and hungry and too young to speak. Living and loving and caring and laughter are all that this precious young boy is after. It's not his fight, it's not his war. What have we done this to him for? What have we done this to him for? What are we doing this to children in Syria for? To children in Mali for? To children in Pakistan, Iraq for? What are we doing this to children in Egypt for? I don't know. But I do know that we outnumber them. I do know that we so far outnumber them. There are maybe 600 of these people who are in charge. 600 sick, twisted individuals, pedophiles, evil. Why are we allowing them to have positions of power? Peace is not overrated. War is overrated. War is profiteer. War is a racket. War is a racket that steals everything for profiteers. Cheney, Bush crime family, Clinton crime family. Actually, it's more like the Bush-Clinton cabal. But what would happen if 1/15th, when enough of us understand that it's up to us to save our world. It's not up to government. It's not up to rulers. It's not up to somebody else to tell us how to live our lives and demand fees and taxes and send their thugs in uniforms to suppress us. No. It's up to us to realize we've all been lied to. We've all been fooled. And by coming together one day a month in peaceful resistance, by dropping their profit, which is the only God that they honor, by refusing to go to work for them, we can reconstruct our world. Because if you've got a job you hate, or if you're working for Monsanto or Raytheon, if you're making bombs, if you're making depleted uranium, come on. If you're working in a hospital, forced to give drugs and prescriptions because they don't want to hear about good food, come on. Have you looked at the people who work in hospitals lately? It's appalling. It's appalling. So, why wouldn't it work? My idea of a strike isn't out there to picket or to march or to be targeted. It's to stay home, within our home, our neighborhood, our community, our county. If we all stayed home, or if the majority of us stayed home, or if enough of us stayed home to where, that Occupy spirit hit, and all of a sudden, millions of people all around the world stayed home on the 15th, and because it is around the world, 2 days maybe of staying home, boy, what would 3 days, what would 4 days, what would our governments do? What do bullies do when children ignore them, when they go home, when they leave them alone? You know, if a bully's standing there by himself, he has no power. That is the picture, folks. We've been turned into employees of the Corporation of the United States, but corporations only run when the employees show up. So tomorrow, we're having a marathon. It's the second one of the year. We need your help. We need your help to promote on Facebook, on Twitter. You know, get the word out. What else are we going to do? Or if I'm wrong, if you don't think that the world will change when all of a sudden there's no support for the corruption of government, if you're sick of taxes, if you're sick of these fines, if you're sick of having your own property and having some bozo with papers show up and fine you, or want to come in to make sure that everything is legal and lawful, if you're happy, you're taking accountability, you're living there, you know, how can you think we're free? And how can anyone think that this child abuse can be ignored? We could stay home and demand recompense for that. We could say, no, look what governments do to children. Governments vaccinate your children. Governments are telling you that you're not smart enough to home birth your child. You better get your child vaccinated, or you better be in here. Don't breastfeed your child, because if you do, they'll be healthy, and we want you on the Similac that has genetically modified corn syrup or sugar in there more than anything else. We want to kill your children, because we'd like only 500 million people on the planet. That is the goal, folks. That is the goal. So we can't just keep ignoring it and call ourselves moral people. So I'm asking you to help and to stand in solidarity side by side and bring the knowledge that you have, because I don't have all the answers. But I have at least a plan to stop at the same time. And then within our communities, if we're not working, just imagine this, folks, just play with this idea. If all of a sudden millions of people stay home on the 15th, what do you think the politicians are going to do? They're going to start sweating bullets. They are going to be so afraid, because they're going to know that within their communities, they're going to be held accountable. Now, I'm not talking about lynching, and it's very important that everyone listening understand that. What I am talking about is removing them from positions of power, firing them, incarcerating those who truly have records to prove that that's a necessary step. These people have caused harm. The ones who have truly caused harm are incarcerated. All their benefits are taken away, and it's no longer, follow the bully. Their big houses, their lifelong, forget that stuff. We're starting over within our communities, and we can take turns, and we can listen to David Frank of OneVoiceNow.info, who will be part of the marathon tomorrow. We're going to have Neil from the Sovereign Independent. We're going to start off with 2 hours in German at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 a.m. GMT. 2 hours in German, then at 8 o'clock Pacific Time in English, 11 o'clock for you folks on the East Coast, and in GMT it is 3 o'clock. So if you join us, if you help us build our chat room, spread the word and ask yourselves, what other way are we going to get these people to listen to us? They don't care. They ignore phone calls, emails, petitions, marches. They won't cover the news. You get millions of people to show up. They don't let people really understand what's happening. So it's up to us. And I encourage you to ask your family members, have you heard about the Child Migrants Fund? Have you heard about the British government in collusion with the Catholic Church and the Salvation Army and the Methodist Church and the Church of England shipping their children overseas, kidnapping, abducting? Have you heard about Bin Dune? Have you heard about the Catholic pedophiles? Come on, folks. All these old guys wearing dresses and hanging out, kissing each other's rings. Give me a break. It's time to grow up. And so understand, tomorrow, UnitedWeStrike.com. We've got Okay, so Neil from the Sovereign Independent. We're going to have Bert, Are You a Free Man? We're going to have Michael Bodnarik on. We're also going to have Michael Shaw on with Agenda 21. We've got Matt Navarro on. We're going to have Steve from OYN. We're going to have, now I'm thinking, we're going to have Dinah Everett Snyder. We're going to have Dr. Rima Label. We're going to have a round table at the end with possibly lots of people. Gary Hendershot is going to be on there. Charlie's going to be there with Michael Rivero. I'm trying not to forget anybody as the credits are rolling down. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to me tonight. And remember, look at yourself in the mirror before you go to sleep and ask yourself, are you part of the problem or the solution? Join us tomorrow. Spread the word like your life depended on it, because it does. All right, peace, folks. I hope to see you tomorrow in the chat room. Support us. Stay tuned for Jeff French. Thanks to everyone at Oracle for listening. Thanks to the people at YouTube. Thank you very much. Please spread this program around. We need to know. Good night.
Scared and angry, like, what did he say?
Will 2012 bring the Mayan end of world or the global banking collapse? In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. This week, Mike unleashes 3 brand new, shocking, must